and also Missoula County's representative. Violet, are there any introductory instructions you'd like to give folks?
Yes, definitely. Welcome, everybody. If you've been here before, you've already heard my spiel, but I'll go ahead and give it again anyway. Just a reminder to please keep your mics muted until you're ready to speak. If you are calling in on the phone to unmute yourself, you're going to have to hit *6. I will be recording and uploading this meeting to YouTube. That said, if you want to keep your cameras off, you are welcome to. Board members are encouraged to keep their cameras on throughout the meeting if they would like. When it comes time for public comment, if you are calling in via Teams, you use the raise hand function to let us know that you would like to give comment. And that's a little guy with a hand in front of him, and then you'll click that raise hand button. If you're calling in on a phone to the meeting, when it comes time to give public comment, like I said, to unmute yourself, you'll have to hit *6, and then we'll just give preference to whoever is able to unmute themselves first to give a comment. The last thing I will say is to please refrain from any back and forth conversations in the meeting chat. You're welcome to use the chat to ask questions or make comment, but please avoid any back and forth. Otherwise, I think that's it for me, Dave.
Thanks, Violet. So before we do roll call, just a couple other items. First off, again, thank you for joining us today at this meeting of the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. We are delighted to have you with us. We are committed to restoring passenger rail service back to the southern tier of Montana and beyond. And we are also fully supportive of the continued vitality of the Empire Builder along the High Line. As per tradition, this is an opportunity to introduce any representatives or staffers of our members of Congress or the governor's office. And I will just run through quickly the list of elected officials who we'd like to give a chance for their staff to introduce themselves. Please do so if you are on the line, and if you want to add any comments about our updates relative to passenger rail, feel free to do so at this time. Otherwise, don't feel compelled to do so if you don't have anything pertinent to share today. So I'd like to begin with Senator Tester. U.S. Senator Tester, do you have any staff on the line?
Hi, Dave. It's Zach from the Butte office on the line. No real pertinent updates yet. I'm not sure if, as we talked, Folsom was going to kind of bring this up in commerce, and I haven't heard anything back from him yet. So, but good to be here, and thanks for having me.
Welcome, Zach. Anyone else from Senator Tester's office? Okay, seeing none. How about U.S. Senator Steve Daines?
This is John Durnall. I'm at the Bozeman office here. Nothing too major for updates, just kind of ongoing discussions on what an infrastructure package might look like, but nothing too major right now.
Great. Thanks for joining us, John. Is Danielle with us today?
I believe she's on the road right now, so
okay.
I don't think she'll be joining.
Very good. Thanks. How about Representative Rosendale's office? Dan, are you on the line today? Looks like you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that. Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Dan Jessup from Congressman Rosendale's office, but I don't have anything to pass along this morning.
Okay, very good. Thanks for joining us, Dan. Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, no problem.
Is there anyone from Governor Gianforte's office with us today? Okay, I did get a message from the governor's economic advisor, Sonny Capice, that he was not able to join us today, but will be able to do so at future meetings. So thank you all. So with that, Violet, would you like to call the roll?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just run through the list of board members here. To all the board members, if you could please briefly unmute yourself and just let me know that you're here, that would be wonderful. I'll start with Daryl Folkvord, Broadwater.
And I'm here.
Okay, thanks. Sean Fredrickson, Butte Silverbow.
Here.
Thanks. Jason Stewart, Dawson.
Here.
Scott McFarlane, Gallatin.
I believe he will be not able to join us today, Violet.
Okay, perfect. Elena Gagliano, Granite.
Here.
Perfect. Mayor Mary Hensley, Jefferson.
Present.
Perfect. Dave Strohmeyer is here. Bill Berg, Park.
Here.
Terry Jennings, Powell.
I'm here, Violet, and I'd like to use this as an opportunity for a mic check. My computer's telling me my mic's not working.
We can hear you. Deanna Bachnes, Prairie. Jerry McDonald, Sanders.
Here.
Thanks, Jerry. And then Ed Anderson, Weibo.
Here.
Perfect. Back to you, Dave.
All right, thanks, Violet. It looks like we do have a quorum today, and we've got a lot of important business to roll through, so we will just keep it moving. This is the point at the meeting where, folks, if you have any comment on items not on today's agenda, so if there are members of the public out here who would like to comment on anything, preferably within the scope of the Rail Authority, we're not going to be able to fix your potholes and wherever you live today, but if there's anything within the scope of the Rail Authority's jurisdiction that is not on the agenda and you'd like to comment, this is your time to do so. So if you would like to, go ahead and raise your hand or unmute yourself and we will get you in the queue. Okay, seeing none, we will roll right into our main agenda, and this begins with approval of minutes from April 14th, 2021. This was our last full board meeting. Are there any corrections or additions or modifications to those minutes? Okay, seeing none, without objection, those will stand approved. We have no scheduled presentations today. I was hoping that we would be able to get Amtrak here today. There was a scheduling conflict. We'll try to get them back at a future meeting. But we will then move into committee reports. So this is the opportunity for each of the chairs of our standing committees to say a few words and update the full board on what you have been up to. I will begin ever so briefly with the executive committee, and just for everyone's information, the executive committee is composed of the chair of the Rail Authority, that would be myself, the vice chair, the treasurer, and the secretary. The main thing that we've been up to, and we've met a few times since our last full board meeting, and I just noticed a hand up. Let's see who this is before I go on. Peter Schultz.
My apologies. I tried to put up hand earlier, but I didn't know where the button was on my iPhone.
No problem.
I'm calling from Edmonton, Canada. I'm representing A2A Rail, which is a company has a presidential permit to build a railway from Canada into Alaska. And part of my role is overseeing potential passenger traffic on that. So I'm here as an observer, just with eyes to an eventual Florida to Alaska via Montana route. So I'm just an observer, and this is all highly conceptual type stuff. So just, I'm here.
Excellent. Glad to have you with us, which is a good segue, because one of the meetings we had recently was with rail advocates in Alberta. That is, our executive committee had a meeting with some rail advocates from Alberta and had a great discussion about just thinking long-term in terms of what a international connection might look like that would cross into Canada. So let's keep the conversation going and let's stay in touch, Peter. Glad to have you with us.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So in terms of other highlights of what the executive committee has been up to, In the spirit of outreach to adjoining states, we have presented recently to both the Bonner and Kootenai County, Idaho County Commissions. And in fact, just in yesterday, I have not had a chance to distribute it to the board, but we received a letter of support from the Bonner County Commission in Idaho, and it's also a letter that they sent to their congressional delegation in support of our efforts and also in support of the restoration of the North Coast Hiawatha route through which would go right through Sandpoint and northern Idaho. We will be meeting this week also with the Morton County, North Dakota County Commission, and heading east, trying to garner support in the state of North Dakota. We have sent letters of introduction from the Rail Authority to all of the county commissions that would be bisected by the restored North Coast Hiawatha route, and also many of the municipalities along that route and other entities also. So outreach has kind of been one of the big goals of and activities of your executive committee over the past month. With that, let's go to the Rules of Procedure Committee, and there are within committee reports this time around, there are actually a couple action items that our committees will bring before the full board, one of which will be presented to us by the Rules of Procedure Committee. Commissioner Frederickson, would you like to provide a committee report and introduce today's motion before us?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Commissioner Strohmeyer. As you said, my update is on the Rules of Procedure. We have the document in place. After meeting bi-weekly for the last 5 to 6 months, we have a document ready for your approval. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the committee members, Member Jerry McDonald and Member Elena Gagliano, members of the public, Dan Bucks. His experience and intelligence were vital in this process. Dan Clark for helping us put our thoughts to paper and always being so nice when we had some ideas that didn't necessarily work, but putting us on the right path for what we wanted to accomplish. And also members of the Missoula County staff, in particular, Dory Brownlow. And of course, our headlight on this Southern Route train guiding us through the cool Montana rain, Commissioner David Strohmeyer. Thank you. It's been a great experience for me. And with that, I move to adopt the general rules of procedure for the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority.
Is there a second?
Elena Gagliano, I second it.
All right. How about some discussion? We'll go ahead and open it up for questions also at this time. Do any of the board members have questions or comments? And I would also like to extend my thanks to Sean for over the past number of months leading us through this journey of developing from scratch the rules of procedure for this rail authority. I cannot say strongly enough my thanks for all of you board members, and in this case the Rules of Procedure Committee for plowing through what might otherwise not be all that sexy of a job, but what you've come up with I think is a solid foundation for us to build upon in the years to come. Any questions or comments?
I just concur that it's a solid foundation and an impressive piece of work.
Thanks, Commissioner Berg. Other board members? How about we? Oh,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
This is Elena. I think it's great, and I think I'll probably use it as a template for other rules of procedure with other boards I'm involved with.
Good point, Elena. I've already received an inquiry from a brand new rail authority in the state of Minnesota to take a look at our rules of procedure. So we are breaking some ground as we speak. How about any members of the public? Would anyone like to offer public comment on the motion to adopt our general rules of procedure of the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority? Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, seeing none, that carries. Thanks, Commissioner Frederickson. Thanks to all of the members of the Rules of Procedure Committee. And likely this committee will be reincarnated and morphed into the Governance Committee, which is one of the standing committees that we've identified in the Rules of Procedure. We'll figure out a path forward as that evolves, but at this point, the work of the Rules of Procedure Committee has come to an end. So thank you very much. For strategic planning, Commissioner Scott McFarland is unable to make it today, but Terry Jennings, Director Jennings out of Powell County, would you like to provide us a little bit of an update?
Absolutely. We've made some progress.
And Terry, now your mic is acting up. Maybe if you get closer to your computer.
All right, now can you hear me?
We'll do our best.
All right, well, I'll keep it short but sweet, but we've made some progress here. We've got the surveys back, all 12 of them. Dan Clark was able to put them into a format. It's in a draft form right now. So in the next week or two, the Strategic Planning Committee is going to have a meeting. We'll go through all 14 pages of this response, and we'll format something to bring back and present to the entire board here, hopefully by the next meeting. I don't know, is Dan Clark on here?
Dan, are you with us today? It doesn't look like it.
Okay, he's not.
Dave, I'm sorry, Dan said that he had another meeting and he was going to try to make it, but probably not.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so regardless, we'll be able to pull something together. We got to come up with the format, Bill and Scott and I, as volunteer members. And hopefully by next meeting, we'll be able to present something to that. And Bill Berg, would you like to add anything to that?
No, that covers it. Thanks so much for stepping up.
Okay, so you're caught up with us.
Thanks, Terry. Any questions from the board for either Terry or Bill regarding the Strategic Planning Committee? Okay, moving right along. Communications and Public Relations. Jason Stewart out of Dawson County has been chairing this particular committee. Would you like to provide us an update, Jason?
Yeah, that's a quick update, Dave. Real quick, Dave, maybe you want to do this for time's sake. I don't have the ability to share my screen. I thought I might share a couple of things.
We can do that for you.
Okay.
Hang on. Violet, could you make Jason a presenter?
Yes, you bet. Jason, you should now see a little.
Yeah, I got it. I see it. I see a little button. All
Awesome.
right. See if I can do this right. All right. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. So this is just a little thing that Aaron Riccio put together for us. Aaron's the gentleman who's part of our communications committee, works for Onex Maps, and he did our brand for us, as well as the color schematic and palette for the website. I know we've had some questions about that, especially about the colors. So this is just something Aaron put together for us real quick, just to kind of explain his thinking about some of this in case anybody had any questions about it. So just go over this real quick. If I can, there we go. Why can I scroll from, there we go. Okay. All right, so this is a quick brand guide that Aaron put together for us. I think we're all familiar now with the actual the main brand, which, as you see from the slide here, it comes from, you know, the idea of a train tunnel, then a train coming down the tunnel, then, you know, the mountains of Montana. So you put those three elements together, and that's what makes our BSPRA brand, which you see right there in its full glory. Now, as far as the colors are concerned, I know there's been some comments about those, and I'll admit, when I first saw it, I was kind of taken aback by just kind of how bold and kind of in your face it is. But as Aaron has described to us, you know, for modern marketing purposes, this is the kind of thing you really want, you know, something that is bold and attention grabbing to people. So the colors, the specific colors, the primary colors are used on our website. Their primary color palette are this deep green color and this kind of reddish pink salmon color. So just as an explanation real quick, those colors are inspired by Montana's landscape. The green comes from the deep forest of the mountains and the wilderness out in western Montana, and Dave and Bill's and those guys neck to the woods out there in western Montana. And then that kind of reddish pink color comes from the sunrise over the prairies and badlands of eastern Montana in the morning. So that's the explanation behind those. And then you see here he's got the color palette laid out that he's using with the specific color names here: Western Wilderness for the green, Eastern Rise for the reddish pink color, and then Granite Black for your kind of your outline color there. And then you see how he's using that in various ways over the photos that are on the website, you know, to just add kind of a twist to them, make them give kind of a modern look to them. So that's, you know, again, explains part of his reasoning behind why it is that way. And then you just see the various just different ways you can switch this color palette around in different ways with our brand. So there's really a lot of different kind of combinations you can really use with it. And then he's just got quick here. I did like that he put this together, just some real quick. We got a hoodie with it on. Looks pretty good to me. You know, you see it here on the app. That logo and that color palette is on our Facebook feed and our Instagram feed and all our social media applications. He's got it here on what a banner might look like if it were hanging up. I love the included Glendive on here, race you to Glendive here. The hat, that looks pretty cool. The mug. And this is a work in progress, so he's still working on that. So just that was just a idea there of why he's got those colors that way and how the logo came about. So I hope that helps answer anybody's questions about that. And I'm happy to send that out to everybody by email. I will do that after the meeting so you can look at it in more detail. Does anybody have any questions for me about it right now?
Any questions for Jason? No, this is fantastic. And for those of you who are new to our board meetings, you are seeing some of the sausage being made as we speak. So we're trying to assemble the architecture of this rail authority, while at the same time we are also working on our end goal of actually seeing passenger trains pass through the southern tier of the state. Jerry McDonald.
Yes, yeah, great presentation, Jason. Real quick question: is our logo and brand been copyrighted yet?
You know, that is a good question, Jerry. I don't think so, and that probably is something we should look at.
Good.
Yeah, Jason, maybe put that on the next communications committee.
Yeah.
So Jerry, I hope that you're not going to go out now and try to copyright it and then charge the authority a fee for getting it back. Well, that would just be something like a finance committee chair would do. So Any,
My heart, you break. my
any
heart.
other questions, comments from folks, either board members or the general public?
Yeah, on that specific. As far as other business for the communications committee, we do have letterhead ready. It looks like the kinks have been ironed out on that. I don't know if I can get that shared up real quick, but it looks pretty good. So I'll get that sent out to everybody too, so everybody can have a look at that. And email signature looks like it's about ready to go. So those are two things that that our group was working on. Really, the people who volunteer with our group are we have fantastic volunteers through our communications committee, people who are really into graphics design work in a way that Dave and myself and some of us older fogies just aren't, right? So we got those two things together. I'll after this meeting, I'll send out an email to everybody with what I've gotten from Aaron and Kim Whitmore on both those deals with the signature and the letterhead. But they look pretty ready to go to me. Dave, if you feel the same way.
Yeah.
So we'll get those out to everybody. Other than that, the one other thing I can report out of the communications committee, we are going to be looking at, it was brought up the idea of maybe having an online store on our website where people could buy like promotional items with the BSPRI logo and everything, like those hats and sweatshirts and stuff you saw there. So that's something we're looking into, try to get some preliminary pricing on some items for that. If any of you guys have any ideas about promotional items that you would like us to offer through our website, whether it's water bottles or mouse pads or whatever, please send that to me. I'm open to taking and receiving those ideas. So please let me know anything that you think would be a good add to that online store. And that is about it, I think. One last thing, we are going to add a tab to our website that will allow people to send a email correspondence to our congressional delegation. For the congressional delegates on here, as a former congressional office staffer, I know you guys love those form emails that come in, but we're going to get them out. We're going to get them to you so that people have the opportunity to voice their opinion to you through that way. And then you can send them a nice form letter in response, which I used to do. Anyway, that's all I got for the communications committee. And if anybody's got any other questions.
Any other questions for Jason? And we do have a promotional video being worked on as we speak.
Yeah, and the video is on its way. They are working on it. We gave them a delivery date of Memorial Day. I think they should be getting close to doing it. They had a script all worked out, and they were going to start working on putting the actual video together. I think starting last week. So we should have that for you by our next board meeting for sure. We will have that video to share with everybody.
And that will serve a couple functions. One, as part of our outreach to our congressional delegation and elected officials in advance of what we are hoping will happen in the relatively near term, probably early June, and that is a virtual fly-in with our congressional delegation and representatives of the U.S. Department of Transportation and others. The other would be as an outreach tool to other just members of the general public, interested parties throughout the state of Montana and also beyond, because as I mentioned earlier, we are doing outreach with adjoining states, because what we are about is actually not just a Montana thing, but it is a regional effort. All right. There are no other questions. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate that. And I did notice that it looks like Sonny Capice from Governor Gianforte's office may be on the line with us here. Sonny, if you're out there, if you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, that would be great.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Sonny Capice. I'm the economic development specialist for the governor. Sorry I was a little bit late. I didn't think I would make this meeting, but I had a cancellation, so I jumped on.
Great. Well, always good to have you or any of your colleagues from the governor's office join us. Thank you.
No problem.
All right. And last but not least, in terms of committee reports, our very own treasurer, Jerry McDonald, would you like to provide us a report? And this is one of those other committee items, committee reports that does have an action item before us today. So Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. I'm wondering if you can't prepare to display that text at the text of the resolution at the appropriate time. And I'll just continue on with the report from here, and I'll give you the high sign when that's supposed to happen. Thanks, board members and members of the public. I'll just start by giving a bottom line balance sheet. We have about $8,700, $8,800 in the bank today. The exact numbers are available, as well as the entire financial statements available online. If there are any questions about that, I'll be happy to take those questions at the very end of this report. We've got a lot to get to, so I'll just go right into the report. A full text of this report is available. It will be distributed to, if it hasn't already been distributed, to board members. And this is the report from our regularly scheduled Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority Finance Committee that met on May 6th. Effectively, two items that were of significant discussion in that committee. Number one I'll go into is the fiscal year 22 budget of the authority. It was acted upon under old business in the committee, and a calendar for resolving the authority's budget was approved. As a matter of state policy, the authority budget resolution is due to the Montana Department of Revenue the first Thursday after the first Tuesday in September of each year. And this is something that shouldn't be unfamiliar to those of you who are elected officials in the state. Given that the authority does not compel member counties to collect levy on behalf of the authority, we're entirely reliant on voluntary contributions to make up the appropriation, or make up the appropriation segment of this budget. So earlier this year, the authority directors unanimously approved a formula for recommended member county participation in meeting the authority's financial obligations. Because we are asking member counties for a contribution, we need to take into account those county budget calendars as we progress along the path of our own budget and meeting the statutory requirements. Following that line, the Finance Committee adopted meeting dates for itself and has recommended others to the Board of Directors. Those meeting dates are listed in the full text of this document, which you should probably have in your possession by now. And so though informality may be forgivable at this point of our development in the authority, the objective of our Finance Committee is to start us off with firm footing and aspire to a higher degree of professionalism as we remain compliant within the state budget statute. So in order to align with the county and municipal budget calendars, requests that we need to make to our member county boards for financial contributions need to be expedited. And so we've set aside a special meeting to be convened on May 27th. That is of the Finance Committee, and all directors are invited to participate. In between now and that date, I'll be reaching out to members of the board to explain how we have evolved the budget to this point. And during that time, I expect there to be some back and forth. We should be able to, come to some kind of figure that you should be feeling comfortable about representing to your member county boards as a purely voluntary contribution. Of course, the final decision on appropriations for the authority always rests within the hands of the board. The Finance Committee is acting in an advisory role in making budget recommendations. So as I mentioned before, between now and the 27th, I'll be reaching out and helping authority directors wade through what we've constructed as a budget so far, so that we can move on to make decisions. And I noticed that there might be some hands up, and I'll go ahead and take a question or two on this subject at this point.
Kyla, you have your hand up.
Yeah, we have a question from Paul, just wondering what the sources of the authority's financing. What are the sources of the financing?
It's purely voluntary from the general public, businesses, and our members county, our member counties, with Missoula County so far carrying the lion's share of the weight in both direct funding and in-kind funding in the form of folks like you all, Kyla, in the admin space, performing some vital tasks of keeping the machinery running smoothly.
And if I might add, Jerry, also, and to the question, that nothing precludes us from receiving support from municipalities, cities, towns, grant sources, and we are, as we speak, looking at opportunities to tap into grant funding for some of our socioeconomic analyses that we've already discussed in the past. Those are that is the extent of our revenue streams at this juncture. Go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'll just state that we have effectively a preliminary budget resolution that has been, trudged through by the Finance Committee, and that will be available for board members' review during our one-on-one sessions when I reach out over the next 2 weeks. Okay. So if there's no other questions, the other item in the under action by the Finance Committee is the following. As previously mentioned, this authority does not compel member counties to collect the levy. It has been a founding principle of the authority to extend autonomy to member counties on the matter of levy collections. Simply put, if a levy is to be collected for the authority as a result of an authority-wide levy election, only those counties whose electorate has approved the levy request would be obligated to collect that levy. At least that is the founding principle that we're on. We have a bit of a resolution to reveal here.
Violet, could you? Yeah, Violet, could you pull that up from the agenda, please? Thank you.
Okay. So because the Finance Committee, it was agreed by vote of the Finance Committee to memorialize certainty to existing and future member counties that a county's autonomy to follow the will of its electorate in respect to levy collection should be defended by the authority, and subsequently forwarded a resolution forwarding this resolution language to the board for its consideration to fortify a levy autonomy by member counties. And you have a copy of the language that we agreed to in the Finance Committee for your review.
And Jerry, before we go on to actually make a motion here, I want to open it up for some questions. But before we do that, even just a little bit more explanation. And you'll see under the next agenda item under unfinished business, a piece of correspondence from Lewis and Clark County. They are still exploring the possibility of joining the authority. They had a couple questions as far as items that they would like clarification on prior to formally coming into the authority. One of them was the question of how does a county potentially extract itself from the authority if at some point in time in the future it decides to do so. We just dealt with that item in the general rules of procedure that we adopted a few minutes ago. The second item pertains to exactly how Jerry lined this out, a question of clarifying that in the case of a mill levy, operational mill levy that would go to the voters and the electorate in each of our member counties for funding the rail authority, would that be in aggregate or on a county by county basis? Because the concern, as some of you have probably discussed internally and we've discussed as a group in the past, has been, would it be possible in that scenario for larger population counties to just kind of roll over the smaller populated counties? Our bond council is in agreement with this and has vetted this rule that you see before us today and is in agreement that the vote would be on a county by county basis, such that if it failed in one county, that county would not be paying towards the levy. So I think this will satisfy the desire of Lewis and Clark County and probably other counties who've wrestled with the same question. The reason we're bringing this to you today, separate from a more comprehensive package of finance rules, is simply because this has been probably the question that has come up the most from counties interested in joining the authority. So it seemed prudent to bring this before the board sooner rather than later. Any questions from the board on this? Okay, at this time, it would be appropriate, Jerry, if you wanted to make the motion. And the motion would be to adopt a finance rule establishing the framework for future mill levy elections.
Yeah, I'll let someone else make the motion just to to follow order here. We're simply introducing that which has come out of the Finance Committee. If somebody wants to make a motion to adopt, I'll second it.
Is there a motion?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adopt a finance rule establishing the framework for future mill levy elections.
And I'll second that.
It's been, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any public comment on the motion? Any further discussion among the members of the board on the motion? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of approving the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries.
Terrific. And if
Anything
there's
else,
questions, if there are any questions on the on this month's financial statement, I'll be happy to field them now.
We do have a hand up, or we did briefly. It's gone now. Oh, there it is. Paul Pacini.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. You mentioned in your explanation that the question of how a county could leave the authority if they chose to was answered in the rules of procedure. I'm not asking for you to spend a lot of time on it, but could you just kind of outline that procedure then so we have an idea what that is?
Yeah, and Paul, I know you're from Helena and Lewis and Clark County, and my intent is following this meeting to reach out and send a letter to your county commissioners in Lewis and Clark County explaining what transpired today. But in a nutshell, how a county leaves the authority is precisely in reverse of how a county joins, and we will hopefully have that opportunity here in a few minutes to see a brand new county come into the authority. But basically, that county would petition the rail authority, adopt a resolution petitioning the rail authority to remove itself and to exit the authority. Then we as the authority would deliberate and would adopt a resolution essentially contracting the district of the authority and taking that county out of the authority, with the big caveat that you do not get a free pass if you are already committed to financial obligations. So in the event that there would be hypothetically debt service that counties would be paying for, exiting the authority does not relieve you of any financial obligations that you would have. And that's the broad outline, Paul.
Thank you, Dave.
You bet. All right. Thanks, Jerry. Good work on the part of the Finance Committee. Under unfinished business, just a couple items, one of which I already referenced. There's no action item to be had here, but we were in receipt of a letter from the Lewis and Clark County Commission expressing their support for what the rail authority is about and requesting clarification on a couple items. Like I mentioned, I will reach out to them this week with that clarification, and with any luck, Lewis and Clark County will be joining the authority at some point in the relatively not too distant future. We also received a letter of support from Dickinson, the Dickinson, North Dakota Convention and Visitors Bureau. And this comes on the heel of some outreach that we've done over there. I think, was this you, Jason Stewart, who had reached out to this entity? Good work.
We did. We reached out to, as you mentioned, Dave, all those counties and all the, not just you did the counties, and then I reached out to all the cities, towns, convention and visitors bureaus, chambers of commerce, all along that route as well. And so, yes, we did get this letter from Dickinson CVB that they sent to their congressional delegation, which is fantastic. So only one of those we've gotten so far, but we have a meeting with Morton County, North Dakota tomorrow. And I will add that I did, though we haven't had a request for us to meet with them yet, or an offer to write a letter, I did get an email response from the mayor of Bismarck, who said that this would be a transformational project for their community. So hopefully they'll spur their county commission to get on board as well.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I think it goes without saying that there are probably folks out there who either are too young or are new to the area and don't realize that there once was passenger rail service through these very locations that we're talking about, and that there are other folks who over the decades have just lost sight that this could actually be a possibility. And so it's reinvigorating that vision of what could be and how transformational it could be for the rural West. New business. So we have a couple items to deal with today, and this is an exciting one. This is the first new county that we will contemplate bringing into the authority since 12 member counties came together last November and established the authority. We do have one little change up in the original notice for this meeting and the original text of the resolution that we noticed. We had listed both Carbon and Stillwater counties. Stillwater County is still in process of deliberating about joining the authority. So what we have before us today, and what I sent out to the board members last night, and I think should have been posted to the agenda today, is an amended version of that resolution, which strikes Stillwater from the resolution and retains Carbon County. Just as a reminder, as far as how we get to this place where we are today, once a regional rail authority like BSPRA is established, it then falls on the authority as the independent entity to be in the decision-making role to bring new counties in. So the process begins with a county adopting a resolution, petitioning the rail authority for membership. They go through their whole public process notice for that. Then it shifts to the rail authority. And in this case, we did notice a couple of weeks in advance of today's meeting for the resolution that we are contemplating today that would formally bring Carbon County into the rail authority. So with that, I would like to open up the public hearing on adopting this resolution to expand the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority to include Carbon County. And I would like to begin with an opportunity for, I believe, Commissioner Scott Miller from Carbon County is with us today. Scott, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, this is Scott Miller. I'm down here in Red Lodge, and this is a big deal for Carbon County. And I just wanted to thank the authority and Dave up there for getting this thing started for Montana, because this is a big deal. And I think it's a big deal. And I think all of Carbon County and Montana thinks it's a big deal. So thank you for everybody. And I see Jerry's there. I've been talking to him out of the finance committee. So me and him have been getting to be pretty good friends. And I look forward to this. We really do. So other than that, I just want to say thanks. And hopefully you guys bring us on board today, because we're looking forward to it. Other than that, that's about it. We're ready to get on board and join this.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Hopefully this isn't going to be too much of a nail biter, but I don't want to cloud everyone's independent judgment here. So this is a public hearing on this item. are there any folks from any members of the public out there who would like to comment on adopting this resolution? Any public comment? Okay, I will close the public hearing and open it up to questions from directors of the authority. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Would someone like to make a motion? And the motion would be to adopt the amended resolution that just includes Carbon County.
Dave, I will make a motion to adopt the amended resolution to approve Carbon County as the newest member of the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority.
Mr. McDonald, you have your hand up. Was that a question or a second?
I will second that.
Excellent. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the motion to bring Carbon County into the Rail Authority?
I'll enthusiastically third that.
All right. Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of the motion to adopt the amended resolution, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it's official. Welcome, Carbon County. You just made history.
Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. We look forward to this.
So I guess two other quick orders of business, Commissioner Miller. One, and I guess this is a question to the Rail Authority Board. As with all of our 12 initial founding members, we need to stagger the initial terms of new counties. And so the options before us today, and I think the last time, I don't know if it was Bill Berg or someone pulled names out of a hat or numbers out of a hat as far as whether a county gets a 1 year, a 2 year, or a 3 year initial term. We could do that, or we could keep it simpler since we currently have an equal distribution of 1, 2, and 3 year terms among all of the counties. We could just say, Carbon County, you get to start at 3 years. What's
3 years works if that makes it easier for everybody.
How does that work for the board? Any objections to giving Carbon County a 3 year term? I'm seeing lots of thumbs up.
See, okay. We're easy.
And the second piece, Commissioner, is, and you don't need to decide right now. I'm guessing that maybe you might be the appointee by your commission to serve on this board. But if you guys needed more time to figure that out, you certainly could.
I'm the guy. They've tagged me to be it.
Okay. Well, that being the case, I would say, unless any other parliamentarian out there begs to differ, Carbon County's the official, is now an official member of the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. You're the representative from Carbon County, Scott Miller. So you have a voting role in the balance of this meeting.
Outstanding. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.
You bet. Thank you. So our final item of new business is pertaining to what we're calling the Greater Northwest Working Group. This is something that has been assembled fairly informally up until now. There have been representatives of this rail authority who've participated in some of these meetings. I've participated for months now. We have folks from the Dakotas, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. And again, looking at rail from a regional perspective, because the projects that we're talking about cross state lines. Along with that, and I have attached to the agenda here both some draft language that would officially establish, and this would be a congressionally established Greater Northwest Working Group modeled after the Gulf Coast Working Group. Some of you who've participated in meetings earlier in the year with John Robert Smith and others learned about the Southern Rail Commission, how the Gulf Coast Working Group played a key role in in conducting the analyses and studies to really set the stage for what they're doing in the Southeast. Same concept here. The Greater Northwest Working Group would be established by Congress and would have representation from not only the Rail Authority, but state DOTs and others throughout the region. So the motion that I have before us would be to support the Greater Northwest Working Group overview statement and enabling legislation. The overview statement is something that I've been working with the City Council President out of Boise, Idaho for a while, and it essentially memorializes in writing what we've been talking about in kind of disjointed fashion. So you'll remember a meeting or two back, we weighed in support of the concept of Congress authorizing additional multi-state rail commissions. That's one of the legs of this stool, this legislative stool, if you will. The other would be the establishment of a Greater Northwest Working Group by Congress. The third piece is to set ourselves up for success by way of, out of whatever dollars eventually get appropriated for passenger rail and any sort of infrastructure bill coming down the pike from Congress, the idea would be to have a carve out of that amount for rural America, rural long distance. I would contend that for too long, the center of gravity for Amtrak and passenger rail in this country has been in the Northeast Corridor and some of our more populous state-supported corridors. It's arguably that about time projects like what we're talking about in the state of Montana and points east and west and north and south be funded at the levels that they deserve, frankly. So that's the three-legged stool. The carve out for full funding of both the North Coast Hiawatha and the Pioneer Route and other potential routes across the country that would be in that category of rural long distance. The second leg, the Greater Northwest Working Group, enabling legislation, and the third leg, what we've already weighed in on in the past, and that is Congress authorizing the creation of additional multi-state rail commissions that would augment what we're doing already by way of the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority and would not supplant or replace that. Any questions from the board on that? Any comments from the public? Okay, well, a motion would be in order. And the motion would be to support the Greater Northwest Working Group overview statement and Greater Northwest Working Group enabling legislation.
So moved.
A motion was made by Commissioner Berg.
I'll second.
The second by Jason Stewart. Further discussion or comment on the motion? Let's see, we do have Jerry McDonald.
Yes, Chairman, I'm wondering if there is any, well, we are the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. We would be unaffected by the Pioneer Route. But I want to draw attention to the fact that the Pioneer Route running from Denver, effectively, Denver, correct? Or is it Salt Lake? I forget. Salt Lake. Sorry about that. To Portland actually has a higher population that might be construed as a higher opportunity to be implemented, possibly ahead of ours or ahead of the North Coast Hiawatha. Has there been any discussion on leveling the playing field, I suppose you could say, between those two routes to make certain that one is not giving an extraordinarily higher priority than the other?
No, and thankfully, at least in the studies that have been conducted to date, for instance, the 2009 North Coast Hiawatha study and the Pioneer Route study that was a few years later, the ridership on North Coast Hiawatha was far superior to the Pioneer Route. So I think an argument could be made that in order of priority, what we are mainly focused on would be the highest likelihood of success. But the idea also, admittedly, here is to create a package deal such that we have the delegation from the state of Utah and Idaho and Oregon on board. So it's a sense of we all get something out of the deal rather than what has too often been the case in the past, where you have individual states and regions kind of vying against one another and nothing gets accomplished. And the other one other thing I'll just throw in there, and this would particularly be of interest to Carbon County or other counties that would potentially be bisected by north-south corridors, is the working group would be charged with the authority and responsibility to look at not just the lines that are probably the highest likelihood ones of early success, but also over the long term. What does it mean in the year 2021 and beyond to have a connection between a Denver and a Billings or a Salt Lake City and a Butte? Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on the motion. All those in up. Was that a hand up I saw briefly? Peter Schultz.
Yeah, it's Peter Schultz. I always have the difficulties with that stupid hand. Could somebody just send me a quick email after the meeting? And one of the strongest supporters for our project is Senator Dodd of Alaska and MLA Shane Getson out of Alberta. I think they'd be interested in that. And maybe we can extend the discussion. Thanks.
Thanks, Peter. If you could do us a favor, I don't know if you are in a place where you could do this, put your email address in the chat so we can get back to you.
Sure, will do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that passes. Thanks so much. That ends our action items today. This is an opportunity, if there are any general comments from directors of the board, now is your chance to provide an update or chime in on whatever you would like. And I'm not going to put any one person on the spot, but if you would like to jump in, please raise your hand physically or virtually. And it looks like I see one hand up here. If I can navigate to see who it is. Elena.
Thank you. I remember, I don't know if this is appropriate for this time, but I remember there was an address to mail donations, and I don't see it on the website. And I was wondering what would be the address to actually mail a check for a donation?
I will defer to our treasurer. Is there an address, physical address on the website, Jerry?
I don't know of one on the website, but the physical address is 200 West Broadway. That's Attention Andrews Journey. And Elena, if you'd like, I'll go ahead and submit, send you all of that information. I just want to remind everybody that if a check is sent in, please include return address so that we can send the certificate of tax exemption for the donation to the person who's submitted the donation.
Jerry, I would appreciate if you can send that information to me.
It'll be coming out right at you.
Thank you.
And thanks for that, Elena. We will check on the website to make sure that there is a physical address and instructions listed there, because far be it from us to curtail anyone's generosity out there.
Okay, one thing I did check kind of to see if it was there, and I went through the process, and it looks like it's all done by a credit card or something like that. I didn't see an address for a check.
Okay.
But I could have missed it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dave, this is Dory. There is an address under the contact information.
Okay, we just might want to we'll take a look at that, Elena, to make clear that folks associate the general address of the authority with the place to which they would send checks, because checks are still a thing, believe it or not. So, Kim. You're muted, Kim. Still muted.
I'm super careful. I know you're still muted. I'm going to get a piece of merchandise that says Big Sky Passenger Rail. You're muted on it, and I'll wear that around.
Nice.
I'll talk with Linda, but we could have a pop-up on the website that says donate now and have the instructions. So I'll make sure, to Elena's point, that that's done. And I put in the chat something about, I know I've mentioned to Jerry bringing Aprico on board and maybe adding Aprico to the new coalition for the Greater Northwest would let us get Ross Capon, who used to run RPA, in our loop. So if you want me to reach out to him, copy you and Jerry or whomever, and just say I'm supporting your efforts and a big fan and make a formal introduction, I'm happy to do that.
Sure. And for folks who don't know, Kim, could you describe what that acronym stands for?
Oh, yeah. APRICO is the American Association of Private Rail Car Owners. So these are people with lots and lots and lots of disposable income and love passenger rail and love connecting their private rail cars to Amtrak to travel the country. And I have a colleague who owns the Cyrus K. Holiday rail car in San Diego, and I told him about your work, and I'm trying to shake him down for some money, but he was very, very excited to hear about the Hiawatha. He remembers the route, and I think that the private railcar owners would really love to be a part of this and feel good about it, because it's just helping them to expand their network and their travel abilities. And when Anderson was still running Amtrak, and there was a lot of limitations placed on the private railcar owners, and that revenue stream really shut down. So I think now is a perfect time to reach out to APRICO and see if Ross, who's their lobbyist and an ex-RPA president, would like to be a part of this.
Yeah, go ahead and make that
this meeting, this effort.
Yeah, thank you. And for folks who don't know, Kim Whitmore is a member of our communications committee. Any other comments from board members?
Yes, I'll offer that I have included all of that donation information in the chat for others who would like to have that.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry. And public-private partnerships are encouraged. All right, seeing no additional comments from board members, any other unscheduled matters to bring before the board today? And these would just be items to discuss here, no action items, or items to refer to a future board meeting. Well, I would like to make an announcement while y'all are thinking about that. Today will be Dory Brownlow's final meeting with the Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority. Dory is the legal advisor for the Missoula Board of County Commissioners. She's been instrumental in helping us get to this point today and running interference on myriad items regarding spinning up this rail authority. So I'd like to personally just thank Dory for her service, not only to our county, but to helping establish the rail authority, and wish you the very best, Dory, in retirement.
Dave, sorry.
Hi, Dory. I see the top of your head.
Yeah, I'm on my phone. I don't really know how to do that. I'm used to my computer screen, but I was having issues there. So thanks, Dave. I am here through the end of June, but.
Oh, I was told through the end of May, so we get one more meeting out of it.
I better follow up on that. Thanks. It's been really fun. I just sent Dave an email. It's fun to watch even those motions get passed today. I know a lot of work goes behind them, and to see everything in front of you, and I'm impressed with the work that's been done. So thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Thanks, and we'll let you be a part of one more meeting.
Okay.
Thanks. All right. I guess moving on, our next meeting will be on June 9th. Are there any particular issues that you'd like addressed at that meeting, topics, presenters. I did get it's not at our June meeting, but I did get a commitment from the director of the Montana Department of Transportation to join us in our July meeting to introduce himself. This is Director Mac Long. And anything for next meeting? Okay, I'm sure we'll have some updates on the legislative front. More updates on maybe additional counties wanting to join the authority. And again, I'll just end by saying thank you, all of you, for the hard work you've put into this. We have done something unprecedented in the state of Montana to get to this point, and your work has not gone unnoticed. Any further business? Okay, seeing none. Thank you, everyone. We will stand adjourned without objection.
Good day.
Goodbye.